to Cooking with Fatscraps. I'm an okay cook sharing some tasty recipes. Today we're going to cook a nice Indian dish, and it's a little complicated, but it's a lot easier than you think. But let's do what we always do here on Cooking with Fatscraps. Let's go to the old mailbag and see what somebody has written to me. Okay. Dear Fatscraps, how did you get your name? As for me, I can't stand any fat. Signed, J. Spratt from Sprague, Washington. Well, Mr. Spratt, I understand that you may not be able to eat any fat. But for me, I grew up in Montana and we ate a lot of beef and pork, and they didn't trim the meat as close as they do today. So we always had that nice little rim of fat around it. And when Mom would fry it up, it'd be crispy and nice. Well, I learned to eat it because it was really very good. But now with my family, they don't like any fat either. So when they get their pork chops or steak, they cut off whatever little bit of fat is there, and they have all these scraps on their plate. And I ask them if I can eat it, and they say sure, and thus Fatscraps. So remember, you can always write to me, and I love to hear from you and hear your questions and your comments. All right. Today we're going to be cooking, let me get this started. Today we're going to be cooking pork and spinach curry. Now there's a lot of ingredients in this, and I don't want you to get all freaked out about it, and I'll list them in the comments. But once you buy them, you have them, and almost all the Indian recipes that I make call for these same spices, okay? So let's see, what are we going to start out with? Well, first of all, we're going to start out with about 6 peppercorns, 6 green cardamom seeds, 5 or 6 whole cloves, and 2 bay leaves. Then you're going to need 2 teaspoons about of ground cumin, a teaspoon of ground coriander, half teaspoon or how much you'd like of cayenne pepper, and of course salt. This is my favorite. About 6 or 7 cloves of garlic minced or just chopped up, and then about 1 inch of fresh ginger chopped up really fine, okay? And then about 2 medium onions all chopped up and ready to go. Now the actual recipe calls for 2 pounds of spinach, but this is 1 pound of spinach all chopped up, okay? And then I have 2 pounds of chopped up pork over there, and that's what we're going to use. Normally what I use for the pork is boneless ribs because it has the right amount of fat and meat, and it tastes really good. This is the pot that I'm using today. Usually I use a little bit taller pot, but I want you to be able to see some of the stuff I'm going in this. This beautiful pot my wife got when she was a missionary in Japan. I think it's called a nabe, but in this house we call it a tawa, and that is Sango for pot. All right, and the drink for today is a nice Scotch ale, Founder's Dirty Bastard. Normally I would like a nice Pilsner, but this is all I had in the fridge, and I have yet to be getting that millions of dollars from YouTube, so this is all I could afford for today. So let's just get started. Okay, I have about 5 tablespoons or so, a couple glugs of oil in here heating up. And once that gets nice and hot, you're going to take the cloves and bay leaves and all that, and you're just going to throw that in there and let those cook for a couple seconds. And what that does is it releases the flavor of the spices. All right. Then once that's kind of cooked in there for a few seconds, then just add your onion. Stir that around a little bit. That smells great. Then add your garlic and your ginger. What I like about this dish is that the meat adds the flavor, but you don't really need to eat the meat. You can just eat all the vegetables and stuff. It's really good. Okay, we're gonna let this saute for a little bit until the onions turn light brown. All right, the onions are nice and speckled brown. A little bit of liquid refreshment there. And I have my meat here cut up into cubes. Some of them are a little bit bigger than they should be, but that's okay. Put that in here. And unlike TV where they just go ahead and wipe their hands off on the towel, I actually have to wash my hands. Get that part out. Anyway, so you get this in there. Then get your cumin, coriander, cayenne, and about a teaspoon of salt. Just throw that in there too. Stir that around. Oh my goodness, that smells great. All right, after that's been stirred around just a little bit, this is what makes it so good, is yogurt. Now, one of my sons is lactose intolerant, so I can't use regular yogurt. But the soy yogurt is really, really good. We tried the coconut one, but that has a flavor that I don't really care for. So this seems to be about the closest. Okay, so just glop that in there. How much you say? Well, how much do you want? I'd say this is about a cup, but you can put in as much as you want, but at least put about 5 tablespoons in, okay? And stir this puppy around. One thing that I realized by doing these videos is that I have everything all chopped up and ready to go. And I tell you, it makes it a lot easier than how I normally cook. Okay, add about a teaspoon more salt to that. And then your spinach. And that's my dog. So we'll stir that in. And we'll keep adding the spinach a little bit at a time. Okay, we got all the spinach in, and that's it. So we're just going to put the lid on this, and we're going to let this cook nice and slow for about an hour. And while that's happening, I'll finish my beer and get the rice started in my rice cooker, and I'll see you in just a little bit. Okay, it's been cooking for about 10-15 minutes. Oh, it's thickened up very nicely here. So let's dish up a little bit. I got my rice here. Dish up some of this here. Oh, that looks very good. And again, I forgot to get my fork, as I always do. So this is pork and spinach curry. It's awesome. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you next time.